It's June 7th and 2023, and you know why you're here. Oh man, I'm just so excited. I just want to skip the intro and get right into it. Let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Gerissar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey, I'm TreesapJake, and I'm an MMR inflation coper. There we go.
Well done. Well done. That was good. That was good.
I'm just praying. It's just a sort of, I don't know, like a sort of praying thing, kind of shout out to the devs to please fix MMR so people can play. We're not just sitting there for 40 minutes to only get 5 rating.
That's only dream. Solo shuffle though, right?
I guess it is, but it's also really the same in any bracket, really. There is, I think with 3s and 2s, there is definitely a feeling of you're not getting that much. Everything feels very deflated. Now, obviously, 3s did feel very deflated last season due to solo shuffle, but everything feels deflated. So no matter what you do, you're queuing into the most amount of people.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the most amount of people, the least amount of people, but the high. Some of like you can be at 1800 in 3s and queue into rank 1s. Yeah.
The bracket is really squished.
Yeah, and it's not the most enjoyable thing.
No, I can. It's. I don't know what to say. I guess it's the upside of playing randoms is that you don't run into that. You just you run into everybody, so it's whatever.
Exactly. But this is the thing, right? This is modern WoW. Like I think we've talked with Big about it before. But modern WoW is very much like everyone is very good. So the kind of like ceiling cap of like, oh, everyone can say like, oh, you're bad, you're only at 1800. But actually, that 1800 player, if you put that 1800 player versus an 1800 player from back in the day, let's say TBC Wrath, that 1800 player nowadays would absolutely kick the crud out of the 1800 player from Wrath, because everyone's ability at the game is so much better now, So like this kind of gap between who's really good and who isn't good is kind of almost dependent on both how much time you've played and how much time you have to commit to certain things, and it's crazy, really. So I don't know, like, you know what, like there isn't much of a difference really between most gladiators and rank 1s nowadays, but it just feels as if like everyone is just really, really good at the game, and every single game feels like BlizzCon, and that's just kind of the experience I've had with the with WoW since Shadowlands, really, since lockdown. It's very interesting, very strange, but yeah, that's modern WoW for you.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is that we should start to expect that. I think I still feel that there's people that are still learning, or still not as good on the get-go as what you're kind of describing. But I will say that the ceiling floor is much higher than it was in, well, let's say even Wrath, right, or Mob,
100%.
right? It's so I don't disagree there. Well, speaking of ceilings and floors, do you want to get into the need, greed, and pass and see what I came up with this week?
I'm always intrigued to what you see you've come. I'm always intrigued to see what you've come up with.
I'm always intrigued to see how bad my bumpers are. Let's see here.
Can you press them? Who knows? Find out next time.
Oh, I just did what you talked. So that's okay. And I just talked over it. Oh, I'll have to fix that in the post edit. That's okay. All right. Well, I guess I should probably, before I get too started, I should point out that Big is not joining us. It's just going to be me and you tonight. He had a bunch of work, so he was unable to, pay the bills. It was, do I pay the bills or do I join Gerissar and TreesapJake in a conversation? He picked bills. So,
I mean, I was about to say the most obvious answer is forget the bills. Come to the podcast. I mean, goes without saying, really. I'm sure, actually, to be honest, he's just really full from Taco Tuesday. It's just Taco Tuesdays. It's
I don't know.
It's what we used to do. It used to be his highlight.
Yeah.
Like, no, I can't stand it. Can't stand the Wednesdays.
I will say, yeah. If I see him, actually no, I will say I didn't see him. I didn't see him do a Taco Tuesday tweet yesterday. So,
Or do we? Well, there we go. I mean, that's I feel for Big.
yeah, maybe that's why he's so behind at work. He didn't have his weekly taco. All right. Anyway, on to the nitty gritty of the pass. While we're here, I'm going to come up with a scenario. I'm going to give you 3 options. People at home, please play along as always. If you're watching, chat away in the stream. Otherwise, head on over to our Discord, and we'll have a thread there where you can give your thoughts on my nitty gritty pass. So this one's about being a spectator for WoW Esports. And so they've done a few things over the past few years, right, to try to, entice more people to watch and to support, or to give kind of like a throwback to the, no, I guess not really a throwback, but throw something out to the community, to the people that do watch. So I was thinking, what if for season 2, what could they do to like help entice and to help help thank the people that are watching this season? So I was thinking for Twitch drops, do something, maybe do something PvP or do something esports related, right? So be it either a specific WoW esport banner, right? They seem to be doing banners or tabards. I think that'd be pretty cool. Or something else, just a Twitch drop though, right? Because they seem to be doing that. Do another food deal, right? So either be it a food delivery service or at some sort of chain like they did with the KFC for Diablo, the Diablo launch. And the last one is do a random draw to meet a team. So it'll be just like a random draw out of the people in the stream, and then you get to spend 5 minutes with a team on a Discord call or something like that. One of the teams that are competing. So again, Twitch drops, a food discount or a deal or some sort, and a get to meet a team.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Twitch drops, food discount, meet a team.
Yeah.
In summary.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, I'm guessing I'm going to go first because there's no one else to actually go other than you.
Well, I was going to ask Big, but yeah.
Oh, it's not. Well, okay, right. Let me think. So this is going to be a difficult one. So I'm going to come at it from 2 different angles. First of all, as a content creator, what I think would be good.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come at it from a consumer, so someone that watches, a spectator. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want to find the middle ground between them as the kind of best case scenario for me. So, because obviously I'm also a spectator, not just a person that makes the content. So thinking about it, I think actually the food discount thing, the idea of that, you can, let's say you've got a coupon or something like that kind of takes money off an item, in that regard, anything is actually a really, really good idea. And I think that's a really good idea because of the fact that I think there's people sort of, you underestimate actually how much in our daily lives that, that when we go to work, we get lunch, we go out and stuff like that. There's a lot of that kind of side of things where you end up sort of just throwing money away, and you kind of get to the end of the month like, oh, how did I end up spending that much? And actually, to be honest, if you have some sort of incentive when you're watching people to get that, I think that'd be really insane. At least I think so from a spectator. So I'm probably going to probably need food discount. Okay. I'm going to greed Twitch drops because I find it so amusing that Blizzard have been dropping all these really rare mounts that people have spent lots and lots of money on, and I'm just getting them just from watching 4 hours of 4 hours of sort of anyone playing World of Warcraft. I find that quite hilarious, and I also think they're a good idea because it does incentivize viewer rewards.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And then I'm going to pass on the meta team. And the only reason why I'm going to pass on the meta team is because I think personally in WoW, I wouldn't be too excited.
Oh yeah?
And well, yeah, the reason why I wouldn't be too excited is because I feel as if like the unfortunate thing with our esports scene is I highly respect the guys that play. I really do. I think they are really good, but there's no ideal of professionalism around it. If we were talking about League of Legends and you said meet a team, I would be 100% down for that, and I'd probably need that because the esports side of like League and Dota and even Overwatch to a certain degree and other and sort of other like Valorant and stuff like that, there is an idea of that these are professional players and they are sponsored and they've got teams and there's a massive organization and their whole lives dedicated to playing in these tournaments and everything like that. And although we do kind of have that a little bit in the WoW esports scene, it doesn't feel as as professional as it does in the League. And that's not the players' fault. I think that's entirely on Blizzard's lap, just because, I've said my feelings on this multiple times, that they have wasted the opportunity that was presented to them with WoW esports. Because I think there is so many things that could have been done in the past. I mean, I think they're doing a fantastic job now. I just think it's a little bit too late. It could have been done. There could have been more done in the past as the kind of esports scene was emerging, because we were doing esports before League had really even blown onto the scene and it kind of set that whole standard. WoW could have been that thing that kind of made it massive. So I'm going to pass on meet a team. If it was different circumstances, that would be my need. But that's what I think. I think personally, it's again obviously my personal opinion, but I think those are the ones I love. I love the food idea. And maybe just because I'm hungry, maybe that's the reason why. But I think that's a fantastic idea.
That's funny. I'm not hungry because I just ate, because it's obviously much earlier than you are. All right. Well, I'll say this was hard for me to pick because I kind of chose them on purpose for that. So I'm glad it was difficult for you as well.
Yes.
So I'm actually going to need on the Twitch drop only under the assumption that it's going to be something very rare and very PvP esque, something that I don't have, or something that I would really like. So assuming that it's that, then I would need on that. And that's only just because of those wonderful cosmetics, and be able to drop the banner or run around with a tabard or have the something hanging off my back or something like that in game and show off my love for esports. I'd love to do that. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah. And then I get what you're saying about the professionalism. I still want to meet the team. I still would love to be able to spend 5 minutes and be like, yo, so like what happened on that match, right? And be able to and maybe there's something, oh yeah, it's because Jelly Beans forgot to set up his glyphs again or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, somebody was forgetting. Somebody was wearing the wrong legendary, or they didn't have the adaptation. They didn't have precog on their cloak, or I don't know, whatever stuff like that, right? So I'd love to be able to just have that little conversation. I think, understanding that obviously there's a possibility that one, they'll be like, we don't want to talk about it. It'll be like 5 minutes of silence then. So so be it. And so on that, I would have to pass on the food discount and deal. But I get it. I guess it's only because like some like KFC, DoorDash, and that, like, I don't go eat there. I don't use those. So why would I? It's no bonus to me, right? So So again, personal opinions. So that's that. I'm going to throw it back out to, if you're watching live right now, hop into the chat and feel free to give your knee green and pass, or hop on over to our Discord. And while you do that, we are going to take a quick look at some upcoming WoW PvP events. As soon as I click the button.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
I'm having a real hard time clicking buttons on my system here. So upcoming PvP events, there's a new one actually. It's from the level 20 community. There's a Discord community called Trial Exploit, and they're going to host their Bread and Circuses Cup number 7 on the 8th of July. This is starting at 6 p.m. CEST, so it's EU only. Prize pool is going to be £90, and it's going to be a 3v3 level 20 tournament. So it should be a little fun. Should be interesting. Have you ever watched a level 20 3v3, buddy?
No, but I actually think that sounds insane. I'm gonna have to check that out. But what I've got a question: why is it level 20 and not level 19?
I think it's because, I guess because it's the max level you can get. So usually with these, they allow for people to play without or just on trial accounts.
Oh yes,
that's why it's called Trial Exploit.
Oh, now I understand. Okay, that's me being silly. I get that now.
Yeah.
But so it's in my head, I was thinking level 19, like a twink kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. No, it's and it's fair. I mean, usually that's where because the bracket ends at 19 and the next bracket starts at 20, right? But that's only for BGs. But on and now here's something I don't know. I wonder if you have to be level 20 for the arena war games to work. I wonder if 19 might be too low.
Yes,
I don't know.
That's an interesting idea, though.
Yeah, we'll have to. I'm sure somebody out there knows. But yeah, if you want to watch it or if you want to participate, there'll be a link to their Discord server where they have all the information. You can sign up there. If you want to watch, it is going to be live streamed on Twitch. So yeah, I don't have the live stream, but it's in the Discord link. Anyways, so that's it for community stuff that I'm aware of, or that we're aware of. Then you also have the Blizzard events, which we talked about before. Obviously, AWC Season 2 is starting on the 16th. So really close here. Actually, sign-ups for that close on the 9th. So 2 days from today from our recording. Well, less than that, actually, because I believe it's in the morning. And then by the time I get this out tomorrow, people are probably going to be listening to us just as they're starting to shut down the sign-up. So hopefully whoever's listening, if you're still wanting to get into it, hopefully you can get in. Anyway, so that's the Cup 1 is on the 16th of June. Next one is on the 23rd of June. Cup 3 is on the 30th of June. And Cup 4 is going to be on the 7th of July. So this should be it's going to be a fun summer. Man, oh man.
I'm excited.
Yeah? Oh, I'm excited. That's why we're going to talk about it.
Of course.
Obviously, this is going to finish up with the Great Push, which Adrian talked about when he was on the show here. It's a 3-group series, and then there's going to be the grand finals on dates to be decided or to be confirmed. That's about all I got. I don't know. I haven't really seen anything else. It's been a really quiet few weeks, I think. So we had like this great blast of community events, and then it went quiet again. So.
And I think also a big, sort of a big thing about it is just the fact that due to what's gone on with, with the MMR being a problem, I've noticed less and less people are wanting to queue up. There are less and less people playing the game. And I think this is the problem that Blizzard has, is that and I think they made these changes because there are people complaining on social media and on the forums about my rating means nothing. I can get this high. There are people at 3.5, 3.6K in solo shuffle. Why is this a thing? There should be a sort of cap. So in response, and I think it's fair enough to do this, they've made it so you can't get any higher than 2.4 really. And that's kind of almost the cap. And therefore, your rating means something now. But now it doesn't, because we got used to the fact that you can kind of push up, and that there was a bit of a swing with MMR and people were kind of understanding it and getting the idea of it. And that perception has shifted now. And it's kind of like they've kind of almost done it at the wrong time. But I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to stop it from running away for the season. I understand the reason why, but there needs to be something. They need to like do a soft cap where it kind of like raises each week, so that people at the top can get higher and the people underneath can kind of like push up a bit more and kind of get the achievements that they want to achieve, which they are surely capable of, without it sort of being really weird in the way that you gain 4 rating and then lose 40 for like going 3-3. It's mental, really, at the minute. It's chaos.
Yeah. So I have a few thoughts. One, and it's still very early in the season. Do you really think that somebody should be able to get Gladiator mount and get get 2.4 or higher and 50 wins in the first week?
I don't think they should be getting it in the first week, and I don't think that ever really needed to be the case. But I definitely think that, like, at least for Solo Shuffle, some of the best teams, if they play every day and push every day, should be able to get to at least 2-4 within a week. I mean, it's definitely a plausible thing. Like, you don't see I don't know, Raiders in the world to race to what? Oh my god, race to world first have their content capped. Like you can only defeat 5 bosses within a week, kind of thing.
True.
That you don't see that sort of happen.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Race to World First was released in Wings like LFR was?
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, like, you just wouldn't see that happen. So
no, you wouldn't. That's a good point.
Why should we expect that to happen for us?
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I see this as a bonus is that you don't have the people that rush and get like 2.8, 2.9, and then park their tune for so many weeks of the season and just sit on the rating. Now, obviously, inflation will overcome that, but yeah, I get it. It was just kind of one little thought that I had. All right. Speaking of thoughts, let's get into the subject analysis and talk about the AWC.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
I really don't want to talk about MMR. I feel like either I'll get myself in trouble or it'll just get our blood boiling. One of the two. But yeah, let's talk AWC though. Let's talk season 2. I mentioned before we talked to Adrian there just a few episodes ago, and he kind of gave us an idea of what we might see. Now, obviously, the news got announced, and we know what we're going to see, which is another 4 cups. I didn't see anything about a relegation cup or anything, so I'm not sure after the 4 cups if we're going to see a circuit. I'm assuming so. If that's any indicate, if previous seasons have been any indication, it's going to be a circuit and then it's going to be a final play. It might not be though. It might just be 4 cups, points straight into top 8, straight into a final cup or something. We don't know. But let's talk about so we got season 2 just came out. There's been a little bit of tuning, balancing, but I think we've really started to see a new or what the meta is going to be for season 2. And I'm just kind of curious first and foremost, what your thoughts are. What kind of comps do you think we're going to see out there? What kind of a meta or do you think we're going to see during the AWC?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't played in the last couple of days, so I don't know what it's going to look like with the recent changes. But if you'd asked me last week, I definitely would have said there's going to be like a Destro. It's going to be mostly teams made of Destro, Warlocks, and Boomkins because they are just that strong. Probably Destro, Warlock, Rogue. I'm sure there'll be some really choice picks in there. I know we've talked about tanks and arena as well, but I think Brewmaster got a buff this week. So there may be a return to Brewmaster coming into the AWC. I think, it's mostly going to be, I think we'll see a demo lock here and there, but it's mostly going to be, I think it's going to mostly be Destro plus whatever. You'll probably see some Lock Shaman. You'll probably see some Destro Boomkin. You probably see some DH Boomkin potentially. I think those are mostly what we're going to see, and it's going to be with sort of like discs and Mistweavers, potentially even some preservation evokers in there as well. And I think that's kind of what we're in store for, depending on how teams feel about these recent nerfs and buffs.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Do you think the nerf to Boomkin is enough that it's going to take it away from being a number one pick?
I don't think so, because to be honest with you, most of the nerfs come to its sort of astral power generation. Like the damage is still going to kind of be there, and if anything, it's kind of you've had Wrath and Starfire buffed. So what it means is that you're going to have a Boomkin that's going to be a bit more of a sit there and kind of cast, but and not do as much. Like there's a build basically that Super Tees would do, which is where you basically sat and just spammed the Moonfire and Sunfire like repeatedly, and then just press Starfall and just let that kind of rot damage do it. But in all honesty, I think it's actually sort of better. I think it's going to be better this way, just being able to sit down there and cast really. So that's my opinion on that one.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. One that I'm kind of curious to see is if we're going to see like an elemental shaman plus some other common Destro Warlock or maybe even Demon Hunter. What do you think that might happen?
I definitely think Lock Shaman is going to be a thing. I think Lock Shaman is underrated. I think Lock Shaman is strong, but I don't think many teams will pick it. I think the teams that usually play it will pick it. I think we'll probably see an RMP from Echo. I think that's going to happen. Either an RMP or Lock RLP. The kind of classic rogue lock kind of setup that they have. I mean, I think that's it. I think there's a chance we'll see Elemental. I don't know. I think basically most of it revolves around how good Warlocks are currently. So, and that'll be how it comes out in competitive play, I think.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think, Gerissar?
Well, one thing that I'm really curious about is we got My Way with Tony, Luxia, and Kasu, who've notoriously been known for their jungle cleave. I don't know if we're going to see jungle though. I'm like, I know Marksman Hunter just got a buff in this last tuning pass, but I don't know if it's enough. And like, I'm not sure. I don't even know how good Jungle Cleave's been doing on the ladder.
I think it's hard to say because I don't think it's like massively there. I think there are a lot of teams that work really well with Feral. I think Ferals are underrated in how good they are. And I genuinely do think that there will be an opportunity for jungle, but I think what you'll find is probably in order to keep up with the others, My Way is going to adapt and play something else.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tony's a pretty agile player. I think he can play a couple different specs. I'm not so sure about Kasu. I know Luxia, he can play like pretty much any healer out there at a really high level. So
pretty much.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I think otherwise, like as far as comps go, I'm pretty much on board with what you're saying. Definitely think we're going to see a Lock Rogue. We might see Evoker and Mage with Mistweaver. I saw I have a note here that Cubsy's team has been practicing that one on the ladder, doing Mistweaver, Devastation, Evoker, and Mage. So that'll be interesting. See how that works out.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of interesting things that we will see. This is what I'm really excited for to watch it. Is just to see the what occurs really.
Yeah, I think one thing with the Devastation Evoker, because they finally implemented that ability where you put up the walls, because that didn't exist during AWC Cup 1 or Season 1. So I think that's going to be pretty fun to see.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Actually, this is slightly off the topic, but I've been playing Devastation Evoker 2s
Oh yeah.
with my boomkin, and actually it's really fun and they really pop off. Like if
Yeah.
if you're playing with a guy that knows how to do the damage, they really do pump the damage. So I think there's going to be some interesting things. What I want to know, because obviously we are playing in a patch that doesn't have as much of a crit sort of like multiplier. So there's a lot of these classes obviously do a lot more, have been buffed to compensate the fact that they are no longer critting as insanely hard as they were. You're obviously my thoughts thinking back to Devastation Evoker Frost DK that was absolutely rinsing people. But there's basically, I think actually a lot of these classes are pumping really hard. And do they even need an MS effect? Is having a mortal strike effect actually even doing anything at the minute? Because there are a lot of teams out there that don't have a mortal strike effect, absolutely blowing people up. So is this going to be something where, like a warrior or a rogue isn't necessarily needed so long as you have huge amounts of damage to kind of like bite through people's armor, people's sort of heals? I think that's what I'm most interested to find out and see going forwards in this cup, or whether or not, there is, whether these caster comps can absolutely just, like, rinse people with just huge amount of damage that they currently have, or will we see it kind of going back to kind of like, okay, maybe we need to win in dampening kind of idea?
That's interesting. I feel like it kind of depends, like, because there's going to be comps where they need to have the mortal strike just to be able to overcome the output of some of those healers, like, especially if you don't have the CC chain like a RMP would have, or to lock down a healer long enough to just 100-0 somebody. I feel like you need to have something to be able to counter that healing throughput. I think as well, like, because there's a number of mortal strike effects now, not just warrior, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like a lot of class have it baked in. Even warlocks in in demonology have it. So
Yeah. So I feel like there's enough out there, enough different enough different specs that have it, that the comp variations, you're almost bound to be facing either you have Mortal Strike, or you're going to be facing somebody that will have a Mortal Strike ability.
exactly. So
Interesting.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, as I said, as you rightly pointed out, it's pretty much baked into everything nowadays, and almost every spec has it. I mean, the only spec that, well, actually, no. I mean, even I was about to say even shamans don't have it, but shamans do have it, because obviously rest of shamans have it. Almost every single class has an MS effect now in some various form or the other, and it's definitely an interesting thing. I think personally, and maybe I'm biased in that regard, I think they should really just remove it from everyone except warriors, because I think that was kind of like their thing. And I know obviously rogues have it with wound poison and such, but I genuinely think that I think that would kind of like give certain classes and specs just that kind of feel. Get rid of sharpen, just give everyone 25, but give that 25% more strike effect, and then just sort of, ease off the healing a little bit to kind of slow the game down a little bit, and just kind of just relax it ever so slightly. Because I think there's a reason why people like classic arena. It's because, retail is so rapid. Everything's fast, and then it sometimes feels like your heals do nothing. So that's the reason why healers feel like, feel crud, because they're not doing anything. And it's because everyone's got an MS effect, and you can't heal through it, and you kind of just have no output. You're just kind of like, from the moment you start healing to the moment you get killed or your DPS gets killed, it feels like an uphill struggle for the entirety of the game. There's no relax. There's no, okay, well, this is our strategy for the next sort of like 5 to 10 minutes. It's very much kind of like just panic and spam heal. And I think there's a need that we need to kind of back away from this. But anyway, I just went off on a tangent there. I just started ranting about mortal strike effects.
Well, yeah, but I think they acknowledge the fact that they're adding a bunch of the mortal strike effects to other classes, not just rogue and warrior, because it was to speed up the game. It was to counter the throughput of the healers. They wanted the healers to be able to feel like when they push buttons, it did things, but then that was slowing the game too much. So then they gave more Mortal Strike effects to speed it back up. And they kind of seem to be aiming for around like the 5-minute mark average for games, maybe a little bit shorter than that. I'm going to go to limit. I feel like in this first cup, only because there might be some stuff that we're going to see that people are not prepared for and they don't know how to really to work against. I feel like the games are going to go a bit faster. I think we're going to see more around like maybe a 4-minute game average, maybe like 3.5, 4 minutes, and maybe see some outliers go to like the 8-minute mark. But I think that's going to be like the odds and the extremes.
Interesting. And why do you think that specifically?
Like,
just because of the fact that people aren't gonna know these comps, and which comps do you think they're not gonna see? As in, like, they're not gonna be prepared for.
Damn it!
I know I'm throwing it at you really hard here.
Yeah, no. What's the thing? Like, I don't. I just remember, like, season 1, Cup 1. There was some odd comps there that we didn't expect to see. Like, case point, Ellie and Demon Hunter. Like, I remember the agents ran that and won with it. Took first place on Cup 1, and I think that was mostly because I don't think it was something that was really being seen as much on the ladder, and so there wasn't as much experience there that the players had against it to counter comp it. Obviously Ellie was really strong, and Demon Hunter was pretty strong as well, so that didn't hurt. I just kind of feel like that is also going to happen in Cup 1 here. Plus, I mean, on Tournament Realm, they're going to have access to 2 sets and 4 sets. There's going to be a bunch of players that they don't even have access to that yet on live. They maybe just got their 2 set if they got really lucky and on their rolls or on their vault or whatever, right? So, I feel like there's going to be enough unknown there that I feel like some teams are probably going to have some wacky comps that we wouldn't see currently on the ladder. Does that make sense? Yeah,
that does make sense.
I just don't have any details exactly what. Like, I don't know what to expect. I every time I think I know what to expect, something else happens on the tournament during the tournament. I'm like, what's this?
Basically, Gerissar can't reveal his secrets. That's fair enough. I think that's fair. I think about this every single time, and I've said even during this podcast how much I love WoW esports and how I want it to thrive and how I want it to be massive. And I just feel like we just need so much more hype, and we need this balancing team to be so on it, so that we can find and discover new comps that work really, really well. I want to see, Devastation, Evoker, Fire Mage. I want to see this sort of thing come into the scene and just really explode and kind of like provide people with a challenge. Like, I want to see Echo challenged. I want to see, that team really, really challenged because obviously they are so dominant, and I want to see them challenged by something that isn't just another meta pick or another sort of, this is a sort of a team fighting the same team, using the same comp and trying to do that. Like, the thing I like about League, and I keep talking about League, but it is a shining example, I think, a little bit of a really thriving esports scene. I know that it's slightly different because they use champions, but even being able to kind of like ban certain champions so that the other team is forced onto a different, like, let's say, for example, in AWC, you've won, the enemy team now can ban one class from you, and they've got to deliberate. Okay, one class, what do we get rid of? Okay, we'll get rid of that one. And then that's their counter pick. Okay, yeah, so they've won. They're clearly ahead. They've got this counter pick of, we can ban one class from you now after the blind pick, obviously. And then that provides a problem with them. So these teams have to adapt more. Okay, yeah, so we can't have, for example, Mare on a priest feeling comfortable. He's got to go on to Preservation Evoker. And that forces a slightly different comp because now we're facing this comp instead of the other comp. I just think that would make it so much more interesting, keeps things so much more dynamic, and allow for players to kind of grow and kind of like, okay, yeah, they can't be complacent. You can't have Waz always on the rogue, always playing RMP. Okay, someone's going to be counterpicked. And I think that's a really interesting and awesome way of kind of accentuating that almost 5D chess that we play with WoW Arena specifically. I think that could happen, to kind of bring that excitement.
I get that. I think the biggest issue with that is time delays. All too often, everybody just wants to see the next match. They just want to see. They don't want to see the casters sitting there, analyzing what just happened and talking as other teams are delaying or they're waiting for the next match to set up. And I feel like the whole pick ban system adds so much more delay there that you'd now be seeing where it's going to be like, a match for 5 minutes and then it'd be 10, 12 minutes of casters talking before you get into the next match. And that's not cool. I don't get me wrong. I love Venruki, Zupa. Azael, Zico. I love hearing them talk and some of their analysis. But other times it's like, I just want to see the next match. Like, come on.
No, and you know what? I get that. I honestly get that. But now my counterpoint is, let's say that you're there, you're watching the AWC, you've just seen the blind pick between, I don't know, let's pick a team. Let's have a look at the little sort of list. Let's say it's the big final. It's My Way versus Echo grand final, and you've just seen them blind pick Echo RMP into jungle, and the jungle has lost. RMP wins. Okay. Shock horror. And Zico's just been like, this is the play that got them the kill. They both teams played really well, and they've kind of analyzed that, and obviously they're doing that whilst they're getting set up. And then they go, okay, and now the losers, so My Way, now get to pick a class in which to ban. And who are they going to counterpick? Sid, what do you think? And you go in terms of Super T's, and Super T's is like, well, you know what? I'm really thinking about these teams. Like, what would benefit them the most is to take a class away from them, something that breaks up the RMP, something that really makes it more difficult, kind of pushing one of these players onto something that might not be more comfortable with, might have and you have this whole analysis, and they're going through this, and then My Way picks, I know, we're banned Rogue. Okay, so they can't play RMP anymore. Waz jumps onto Feral or jumps onto Boomkin, and they play DH Boomkin with Raikou with the Preservation Evoker. Suddenly, instead of it just being 4 games of RMP where Echo just totally, absolutely smush whoever, the jungle has an opportunity to fight. Okay, they're playing DH Boomkin as a different comp, and the casters have just analyzed why they're picking this, what would be the best choice here. Super T's offers his opinion, then Rookie comes in with that, even I comes in with a sort of opinion based on like, okay, what would best suit them. And that for me is entertaining, because that analysis of, okay, what could they do here to improve their chance of coming back and making it not a stomp, is fantastic. And it kind of means that, okay, the winning team is put on a bit of a back leg, but there's just, I don't know, that for me sounds interesting. And for me, I would much prefer to listen to that than sort of like go over and over and over again. Okay, what happened next? And it's just, okay, yeah it's just another, I just want to zoom into another game of RMP versus jungle.
I counter your counterpoint with actually 2. One, that does sound amazing for one game. It doesn't sound so amazing after all the combinations of a double elimination 8 team broadcast. That would be, it gets a little old fast. And having watched it under Diabolus when they were doing their pick ban system, it was interesting for sure. I think the thing is that there it was a bit faster. It rolled through a bit faster. The one thing that I don't enjoy about seeing a pick ban system is it forces multi-classing, and it kind of looks clumsy sometimes. And I really, as much as it can be tiresome to watch a team play nothing but RMP or jungle, or like just like having only that one comp, watching a team playing that one comp to an extremely high proficiency level is also enjoyable to watch. So I think the point there is though is when everybody's playing RMP and you have 8 teams or close to it all playing RMP, and it's like who's the best RMP of all the RMPs? Okay, that gets a little tiresome, right?
Yeah,
but yeah. So that's my counterpoint to your counterpoint to my point.
I understand. And I raise your counterpoint with another No, I'm kidding. No, I think that will make sense. And you know what? I'd be really interested to hear what our viewers think. So, guys, if you are listening to this, whether you're listening live or you're listening afterwards, please do let us know either in the Bonus Roll Discord or tweet us and let us know what you think. What would you think would be awesome to see in the AWC? Whether the ideas that we talked about sounds cool, or if you had your own ideas, let us know, because I think it's awesome to let the public know and the world know what you think.
Well, exactly. I think that's great. Thank you for remembering to do that, because I always forget. I'm so busy thinking about what to talk about. Thank you for thinking about the listeners. I guess for EU side, so right now, last I looked, another team might have signed up by now, but there's 31 teams that are eligible, which means that they have 3 to 4 players signed up. That's all. It doesn't mean that they're for sure going to get onto the tournament realm. They might have a player that has a mark against them and aren't eligible because they had a ban or 48-hour suspension or something like that. That said, I picked out some notables. So we have Team The Agents. That's going to be Azgrath, Brunhilde, Mercy, and Zeepai. I think 4-person team. I remember them being somewhat diverse last season. I don't know. What are you expecting? I mean, obviously this is a bit of a powerhouse team. Are you expecting to see them take first, or are you seeing them like in the top 5?
Well, this is the thing. I love it where the agents. I mean, this is sort of like old school. A mixture between wildcard gaming and others. I would love to see them be dominant again. I really enjoyed watching Zeepai play. I think I love it when Elemental Shaman mains do get up there, and they do very well. I would expect to see them in the top 5. I think Asgarath is probably one of the best healers in the entire world.
Yep.
And I think Brunhilde is also a really underrated player. Zeepai's obviously been in the scene for ages, and I think Mercy's also. I think he might actually be the top warlock, both in classic and in retail at the minute. So
yeah,
I think that it's a group of incredibly good players with a long history of playing these cups. I would expect them to do well, but unfortunately, it just does depend on how good certain classes are. And I think potentially with an LSD or Lock Shaman, Preservation Evoker, maybe something along those lines, maybe with a Mistweaver, I think they'll find some really big success. I think Asgraf has been whipping out the old Mistweaver and doing very well on it, so I'd expect them to do very well.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely expect to see a Lock Shaman coming out of them.
But you should do. Like, I think it's obvious that there's going to be, but you could also with Brunhilde see the Lock Rogue, as we talked about. That could definitely still come out. So there's lots of opportunities, and I think there's lots of options.
Yeah. My Way. So we talked about them already. They're typically jungle. I'm really expecting the same thing. Might see something different, but we'll see.
You might see something different. You might see something like a KFC. You might even see Cupid. You might see various different comps. Yeah, because I think Tony is kind of moved away from just being feral and kind of gone, you know what, I will adapt. And I think Casu has done that a little bit as well. I think personally, with the buffs that have currently gone on, I think they'd be mad not to play Hunter. And I think Paladins still do blast a lot of damage. I think you could still easily see a Cupid do very well. But they might stick to just jungle to begin with. I'd expect to see them in the top 5 as well.
Okay. The Fiends, Zen, Bismex, Oscar, and Rat. I'm hopeful that they'll be in the top 5. I'm just not sure if they're going to get there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would. I'm exactly the same way as you, Joe. So I would love to see them, and a big fan of all 4 of them. Really, I think they are new on the scene. Really, in terms of the AWC, I think they play very well. They're fresh blood in this sort of like very much kind of cycle of the same teams, the same players. I'd love to see them do well and really challenge the top guys and really come back to them. The one thing I'll always say about Echo is that they have a very good way of kind of combating when they've made a mistake. So, and I think the Fiends are really good at sort of capitalizing on mistakes being made. So I think they've been doing really well. I'd love to see them in the top 5. Will they get there? I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of Echo, obviously so you got Raikou, Meh, Chanimal, and Waz. Do you think top 1, top 2?
Yeah, it's either one or the other. They're either going to be in the final or they'll win it. Consistently.
That's again though. I mean, the Agents took the number 1 spot in Cup 1, Season 1. So it's possible that Echo could get knocked out. I mean,
definitely. It's definitely possible. I think, but depending on the last competition, they did incredibly well. They had a bit of a boo-boo to begin with, made a few mistakes, obviously lost that. But I think every single game I've seen of them since then, they have just been on form.
Yeah, totally. And they've been practicing like mad. Like they were, I think, every night I've gone onto Twitch, I've seen somebody from the team streaming their practice games on live. So
yeah, and also, I mean, it's kind of pulled channels away from Classic, which is incredibly difficult to do. So, I've seen him do a fair few retail streams, whether it's solo shuffle or otherwise. It's pretty good. So obviously they are working hard on it. I think the thing to say with Echo is that Raikou, Meh, Chanimal, and Waz are probably the 4 top players in general.
Yeah.
At the minute, they are the best at what they do. They are, for their individual sort of classes, they are the best. When you think mage, you think Raikou or Maro, and when you think priest, you're thinking sort of like Chaz or Meh or Zen, and that's kind of where it sits in that regard. And then if you think rogue, it's always been kind of Waz. I mean, Waz is sort of maybe overtaken Rekful in that sort of kind of legendary.
I don't know about that.
Well, it's hard though, like, because Rekful was very good, but I mean, it's very easy to say, like, he's probably one of the best of all time. He's, I guess, what you might call the GOAT. So I think this is an incredibly difficult team to beat, and I think as long as Echo support them, then they're going to be on the top, basically.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. Team Graftal. So I remember these. I think they're a Spanish or a Portuguese team or whatever. Definitely EU, obviously, but with Matiosis, Nightlol, and Yes Dave. I remember seeing this team for quite a while. I don't think they ever really make it ever to top 8 though, but they play consistently and actually usually get fairly far into the qualifiers. So I don't know. Do you think? Have you seen them on live play? Do you think? We might see them? And actually, I'm going to throw it in with SE Panthera as well. Do you think we're going to see either of these teams make it past the qualifiers and actually get to broadcast?
Well, interestingly enough, I'm not as familiar with a lot of the names. However, Profset I am. So Profset I've been a big fan of actually for a very long time. Watched a fair few of their stuff a while ago. So yeah, and I think Profset is actually on Argent Dawn, which is my realm. So I've seen them around a lot, and yeah, just a big fan. So I would love to see these newer, I wouldn't say newer, but kind of like newer teams, I suppose, kind of really set the meta. But I think what they really need more than anything is that synergy that the rest of these teams have that have been playing together for so long, and just really kind of take advantage of some meta picks, and I guess sort of really put a challenge to some of the big boys, basically.
Yeah. Just so everybody's wondering, so SE Panthera, it's a soccer club actually. I'm not sure if they actually sponsor these people or not, but that's what they call the team. That's Vasky, Look, Profset, and Ferry. So another team that is a kind of a funny name. I recognize the players though. That's the Castor Meta is the name of the team, and it's Axiom Docs, Nesty, and Ross Stislav. So I think that I just recognize Axiom and Docs as team name actually, or as players. But it'd be interesting to see if they make it through the qualifiers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's another one. Team Snow Panda with Swapsy, Blizzo, Jamie, and Next. Like, we're talking about some old school players with some of the new blood. Like Swapsy and Jamie. Like that's a powerhouse right there.
Well, so this is the thing to ask. Now we know that Swapsy has come on to Unitas.
Only as a coach, though. He's not a player.
Now, yeah, I know. This is the thing. Can he do both? Is that an actual thing? Can he do both? Well, there we go then. And it's interesting. Obviously, we are going to talk about Unitas later, but I'm just intrigued to know that he's obviously playing, and then he's also going to be coaching as well. So I think what I saw there with Unitas. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it. We'll save it for that when we talk about NA.
Okay.
But I'm intrigued now. Obviously, talking about old players. I mean, it's the Swapsy, Blizzo, Jamie. Next, I think less so, but Swapsy, Blizzo, and Jamie have been around for a long, long time. We're going to see Thunder. We're going to see Warlock Warrior, that sort of thing with Blizzo. I think Blizzo can play a lot of those sort of things, and I think we're going to see a lot of maybe Lock Shaman as well. I think even in the recent cup, they played a lot of Lock Shaman with Jamie and Swapsy. Oh, sorry,
Nice.
or Jamie on other things, I guess, and maybe Swapsy on the Warlock and Jamie on the Shaman. So I think I think the versatility there is going to be really good.
I think so. I do like seeing Swapsy on DPS, and I think the fact that if Blizzo's not going to play Warrior, I'm actually going to be a little bit bummed. I really like watching him on Warrior. He's just amazing on it. Like his ability to like use he almost has like premonition. He almost knows what the other player is going to do, and then he like outplays them, and it's just amazing to watch. So next one. Now we got Infernion, Vanost, Existence, and Shams. Now,
so I think Shams is I don't know if it's Resto Shaman or Elemental, but either way, again, Infernion, another incredible player. So
same with Vanost, the incredible DK player, right?
Exactly. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they're going to play at this stage. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So again, so for some of the kind of like newer teams, I'm not exactly sure what they will be playing because I'm not as familiar with their team members, but I'm intrigued to watch and I'm looking forward to finding out.
I would love to see if Vanos is actually going to play DK, considering my understanding is the state of DK really isn't that good in PvP.
Well, you know what would be really interesting to see if they whip out something like Frost DK Devastation Evoker, really blast out the pressure and such. That would be interesting.
Yeah. That would be interesting. Oh, well, we'll find out. Here's some old school names. So we got the Casual Granddads. I think last season they were Casual Dads, and now they're Casual Granddads. We got Clyde, Alec, Wallerick, and Nixie.
Yeah, old school as hell. Like it's you're gonna see RMP.
Oh hell yeah!
You're gonna see Lock Rogue or Rogue Lock. It's it's gonna be that usual stuff. So I expect to see these guys. I would love to see these guys, admittedly, in in the top ranks of the I'd definitely like to see them in the top 5, but
Yeah. I would like to see them in the top ranks. I can definitely see them reaching top 8. I'm not sure if they're going to get in top 4. Only from historical. I don't think they've made it past top. I don't think they've ever reached into top 3 in the past few seasons. So
no, they haven't.
We'll see. And here's one. Speaking, rolling back to your foreshadowing about Brewmaster monks, we got the bots again with Bruisin, Thomas, Bank, and a name that I can't say. I don't know how to say that.
And which one?
Killuminatix.
Lunatics, I don't know.
I guess. But Bruisin's a well-known brewmaster monk that has pushed ladder as a brewmaster and pissed off a few people, I think. And then Thomas, man, if I remember, was Arms Warrior. They actually made it onto broadcast on Cup 4 there when Blizzard decided to lower the broadcast and went instead of top 8, they went to I think top 12. And so we were starting to see some of these we saw them on broadcast. I'm expecting the same thing. I don't know if they're going to breach into the top 8, but something tells me they're going to ride pretty far into the qualifiers. Last one for EU that I recognized was Giga Chads. So we got Trent Acetate, good old Trent, with his buddy Drainer and Jazz.
Yeah, so this is obviously, I'm intrigued to see Drainer come back. At least we think it's Drainer. I was just talking to Gerissar before we did the stream, actually, and the name listed is IDRX, which I think for me is Drainer. But
yeah,
if you guys know, and if we're wrong, please do let us know. But I'm fairly sure it's Drainer. I mean, it makes sense because they play together a lot.
Yeah, I'm like 98% sure you're right there. So that was just I was just copy and pasting really quickly to get the show notes done. Not gonna lie,
as quickly as possible. Yeah,
like literally like 15 minutes before the show started. I should quickly check to see. Oh, hey, either way, Trent Acetate, Trent and Drainer, really solid players. I think with Jazz, I'm expecting we're going to see DH. What do you think, Chop? What do you think Drainer's playing for healer though? Resto Shaman, or do you think he's going to be playing something else? Because he's pretty versatile. He usually gets himself into all the different healers.
He is very versatile. It'll be interesting to see. I think more than likely we will see. We will more than likely see him on like Mistweaver.
Oh yeah,
something like that. So
yeah, I can see that. Now, question: top 8.
Top 8?
Yeah.
I think they're a wild card. I think it's possible.
Good point.
It's possible that we could see something interesting, but at this current moment of time, I don't think so.
Fair. Yeah, I think top 8. I'm not sure. I think if they get into broadcast, I don't know if they'll get past top 4. I think they'll get locked down by some of these other teams, just from historical. Not trying to throw shade or anything, just knowing historical.
Exactly.
Okay, over on the NA side, so we got Team No Answer with Dippy, MVQ, and Corey. So I mean, I think we had Dippy on the show. Not sure when last time on this show, but I know we had him right at the beginning when we were doing our roundtables, looking at all the classes. So well-known Boomkin. MVQ, well-known Demon Hunter. So, I mean, both those classes are pretty strong, but I don't know what their multi-classing is right now. I feel like they're going to go definitely top 12. I'm not sure if they'll go. I'm not sure how high they'll go, though. I think that's definitely a wild card.
Top 12 out of 12. They'll definitely get there. They'll be somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to say. I think Dippy's very good. I think MVP is very good.
Yep.
But whether or not they can compete at the same level as the other AWC members, that's another whole different sort of ball game, really. That's my thoughts, really, more than anything, is whether or not they'll be able to compete. I think it's a different thing to being able to play at that level, and then also play it like sort of on the ladder and stuff. I think it's very different.
Oh, it totally is. Anytime you talk to any of the people that played AWC, they'll admit that ladder play is completely different than tournament play. So, speaking of players that would definitely say that is Mez, Trill, Sea-Doo, and Sam. Team Liquid, they're back again. The boys are in town. Definitely expect some big things there. I wonder though, because usually this close to a race to world first, Trill has usually slacked off on his PvP practice, and I wonder if he's going to be prepared.
That's a very good question. I think personally, I would love. This is the team where I'd expect to see the Devastation Evoker Frost DK come out if they were going to do it. But I would love to see them try anything else. They probably do a bit of Walking Dead. You might even see a bit of Sam I Am on Warrior to do a bit of, Paladin, maybe a bit of Ret Warrior, but I don't think so. I think it's highly unlikely we're going to see what we saw last season. I think you're more likely to see Sam on Mage and maybe Trill on Warlock or Mez on Warlock or something along those lines, and they'll probably play some Mage Lock with a Mistweaver or Resto Shaman. I think that's what we're likely to see. I think nowadays Sea-Doo and Liquid tend to go for the meta picks, so I think that's what we're likely to see.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Mez on DK unless for some whatever reason. Just a little straight off of Twitch chat here. A little courtesy call it to Mortai. Confirmed that apparently Trill didn't participate in the Race to World first. So he might be a little bit more. We might be seeing him a bit more practice than what I just said.
Oh well, that is interesting.
Well, we'll see what they do. They usually definitely hit on the meta. Like they really pick up on what the meta is and push it to a whole other level. So we'll see what happens.
How they do.
Luminosity, forerunners, defenders of I don't know how many first place. So Ceruleum, Jersey, Prev, and Brain. I don't know what we're gonna see them play though. Like there's so many options there. They're such well-renowned multi-classers. I just don't know.
Yeah, very very good point. I think we're more than likely to see a Shadow Priest. I think we're going to see a Shadow Priest Rogue. I think Shadow Priests are too good, and I think it's more than likely we're going to see him.
What I don't even know what Brain is playing right now. If he's playing, Holy Pally, Mistweaver, Disc Priest, like I'm not even sure. Like
nobody knows.
Yeah, they haven't been streaming either. Not that I saw. All right, enough teasing this one. Unitas. So Unitas announced that they are playing. So we got Aiden, Abruya, Thugonomics, and Chaz. So this is amazing. This is that part about the AWC rules that were brand new. We're allowed for one player outside of the region to play inside. So they picked up Chaz from the EU to play on the NA side. I'm really excited to see how this is going to play out.
Well, this is the thing. What I was kind of hinting at is that it's going to be so interesting. And this thing that I loved about it is that it had this sort of like, and I keep bringing up League of Legends vibe of like, this is we've got this new team together and their coach for it is this player. And this player already plays in the AWC and he's going to be providing sort of like, looking at their games. He's going to be giving them feedback whilst they play. That's the kind of role that Swapsy's going to be playing. And then you've got this kind of hybrid team where obviously you can have that one player come from a different region. And I think that's awesome. I think this is exactly the changes that we need to see, and we need to see more of it just in general. So
I wonder what's going to happen if they actually do like a World Cup plan and it ends up being Unitas versus Team Snow Panda. Like, does Swapsy have to stop coaching or stop playing?
That is basically, did chicken and egg sort of situation, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be funny. Can you imagine? He gets up from they just play the game and Swapsy gets up from his team, walks over to, okay, guys, so.
All right. Well, how do we beat us? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Definitely going to be a thing.
That would be funny. Golden Guardians. So Absturge, Jellybeans, WizK, and Peekaboo. Again, some great multi-classers there. I think somebody was saying in chat earlier, but I'm expecting to see a Hunter Rogue comp here. So
Hunter Rogue, Shadow Priest Rogue. I think Shadow Priests are in a good place. I think we're going to see them, a lot of them. I mean, this is the thing I will say is that I really do think that Golden Guardians are a sort of team that will either do really well or just not do very well,
Mm-hmm.
And I think I love it when they do really well because I can really sort of feel their energy. I love them as a team.
Yeah, I love their vibe. They're definitely
a good vibe.
Duke-mified with Calvish, Nick the Rogue, and Kearney. This smacks of RMP.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
That said, Nick is quite the multi-classer, so maybe Rogue X healer. I don't know. We'll see. What else other than Hunter and Mage? What else goes? Well, I guess Shadow Priest. What else goes with Rogue? Anything? Everything? Are they that strong?
A lot of things go with Rogue. Most things go with Rogue. Enhanced goes with Rogue. You could see enhanced Rogue. You could see enhanced sub, enhanced Asa. I mean, we saw a lot of that in the last AWC competition championship. We saw a lot of that. Like there are a lot of things that work with Rogue just because of the amount of lockdown you have, and especially with sub at the minute where kidney shot's like 3 seconds or 4 seconds or whatever, but you can triple DR cheap shot for 4 seconds into a 3 seconds into 2 seconds. It's kind of nuts the amount of control you have.
True enough. I'm actually kind of surprised. We haven't really talked about it too much with 10.1 and the CC changes that like how impactful that looked like on paper it was going to be to Rogue, but it still seems that Rogue is quite impactful. Like they're still very strong. They still have quite the lockdown.
Yeah.
So okay. Couple other let's see, a couple other teams. The Super One-Shot Frogs with Flop, Chun-Li, and Wealthy Man. So again, some old names there. I expect them to do pretty well. I'm expecting an RMX with that. I know Chun-Li really likes Windwalker. I'm not sure if Windwalker is at the level yet or if he's going to be playing maining Rogue.
Well, this is the thing. I think there are some buffs to Windwalker, so you might see the Windwalker Fire Mage come out from Chun-Li and Wealthy Man.
Ooh, that'd be neat. That'd be spicy.
That's a possibility. Super one-shot frogs. I mean, it's a possibility. You might see anything come out. At this stage, I have no idea. I genuinely don't. Like, I think it's just crazy what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
So we'll see, basically. And I'm excited for it, really.
Yeah, me too. Sorry, I just running. I'm looking. I want to talk about more, but I'm looking at the time. We got Powermen with Tuna, Dazed, and Hansel. I will point out there was actually another team that Hansel was on, and he left that team to move over to Powermen, and made the other team ineligible. So that was a bit of a interesting. But I think again that'll be. I think that's RMX. It smells like. And then I don't know. Are there any other teams you see there?
Not really. I think there's. Oh, we were holding. Apart from Hold on. I know what you're talking about. I was just sitting there going like, is this a trick question? Yeah, there's this other team that I wanted to talk about, which is technically PvP on the NA bracket. I think there's a guy called Gerissar in there.
Yeah, he's a dweeb. They're probably going to flop pretty fast, though.
Well, seeing as you're a part of this team, what's the strat for you? What are you going to be playing?
I'm going to main Destro Warlock, and Mortai is going to be maining Ret Paladin.
Okay. What about Zyther and Cookies?
So Cookies is the healer, probably a Resto Druid, and then Zyther is a bit of a wild card, multi-class or DPS. So honestly, we're a burner team. We're there for the banner. That's all. So probably going to take some rounds. Not sure if we'll take matches, but we're not there to. We're not going to push hard. We're not going for first place. I'll just say that.
Well, I mean, I was about to say I was going to put technically PvP up there on the top 5 potential. So
maybe top 12.
Top 12. Well, definitely top 12. I think for sure. Mm-hmm. I have faith.
I don't know if we run into Drustvar's tyrants, though. We might be a little. I'm going to be a little scared. I think Lika's a much better Warlock player than I am.
Well, you never know until you try it.
Indeed. All right, I think that's it for the teams. Nothing else. Again, it's kind of. I have to say, it's with the game battles. It's kind of hard to see teams like it. It's quite the ordeal to go through and see who's all playing what.
I think we gave a very comprehensive sort of discussion about who's who and everything, which is awesome.
For sure. I think so. I guess I'm taking a little a page from your song sheet. I'm going to throw this one out to the players or to the listeners as well. If there's any player that you thought we missed or somebody that you'd like to also highlight, by all means, let us know. In the socials, I'll happily we'll happily retweet or raise awareness about some of the other teams just to help out. But I think it is time for that final question. And I think I'm going to go back to the whole idea behind spectating and whatnot. What's one thing you would change if you had all the influence you could with Blizzard? What's one thing you would change with how spectating esports works with the WoW esports scene?
So I think the one thing I would change is I would make it so that we had more lands from a spectator point of view. I think I would love for it to, if it had all the money in the world, Blizzard would be hosting tournaments in Europe and in America and in Asia for fans of the game to be able to come and watch in person. And the teams would go there and all would compete on a LAN. Like you'd have all of those teams that we just talked about, EU, NA, all in one place, battling it out in like one long battle, kind of like a preliminary round robin sort of situation into a sort of like pull and then a grand final kind of thing over a period of days. And that's what would happen. It'd be like BlizzCon, kind of like, but sort of it would be like AWC, but BlizzCon pretty much, except not spread over 3 weekends. It would be all in one, and there'd be more frequent versions of them. And then the tickets that Blizzard sold would go towards the prize pool and also bring more awareness to the game. And they'd have intermediate bits that would talk about what WoW PvP is, try and explain it to people. So even if you're there new, there would be something helpful for you to learn and understand. And obviously people could play it. They'd be able to sit down and play with their friends as well if they should choose to, but just like a massive con, basically. I think that would be insane.
I like it. I like the idea behind like mini lands, like little regionals would be, I think, awesome. Are you talking like a full on like AWC cups, but like a traveling roadshow?
Exactly. I think that would be insane. And obviously, for the teams, that means that they get to go away to these different fabulous places. They're able to compete. They're able to actually, the organizations would be the ones that put the money in. They do massive sponsorships, like all this sort of things that would work really, really well for the WoW esports scene. And then also a good sort of like esports scene set up by, with Adrian running it and whoever else does basically the esports side of stuff, helping run that, and then sort of like providing sort of really interesting, very intriguing sort of notes for people to learn WoW PvP, to kind of get an idea of it, to understand one-to-ones with Zico about how he analyzes stuff, what he looks for, that kind of thing. Really insightful stuff that's really helpful and useful, and kind of helps other people kind of get in there. And then I guess you'd have more and more fresh caster, fresh blood in the caster deck, because obviously you couldn't have Zico and Super T's always going to these places all the time. You might have to get sort of like an Asian broadcaster, an Asian WoW player, or sort of more European, and like a lot more people kind of come in. And I think that would be really insane.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Yours actually kind of dwarfs my idea. I actually wanted to see more regions. So instead of just EU and NA, I'd like them to branch back out and have, maybe have like an Oceanics. So Australia and New Zealand aren't playing at obscene hours, and maybe come in like, so you have like the Korea, Thailand or Taiwan Oceanics region have their own region of competition, NA be their own region, EU their own region, and then Asia with their own region. And I think I'd love to see that. I think bring really to encompass the true global nature that is World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I mean, where in the world is the World of Warcraft? That kind of vibe. Sort of, I think that's a really good idea. I like that. I like that idea. More regions, more people coming in, and then what that means is massively more people for, for the kind of big LAN tournaments that we get.
Exactly. All right, let's get into the PvP news and roll this out.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right, into the news. Biggest piece of news that I can think of, headlining it, Holinka has left Blizzard. So, yeah. Thoughts?
I think for me, this is sad news, but I also think, I mean, I'll say it's sad news because is it coming from a point where if Holinka goes, this is someone that's no longer supporting us? Is that what it means? I don't know. But what does it mean that there's more new, fresh blood potentially? I mean, it depends on which angle you look at it. I know there are some people that are celebrating Holinka going because they never liked him anyway, and there's a lot of people that were really sad that he left. So it just depends on. For me, it's sort of like if Holinka going means that we get fresh blood that comes in and does really interesting things for WoW PvP, then fine, great, perfect, sounds good. I'm really happy to see him go, and I wish him all the best going off with Ghostcrawler to work on whatever MMO they're doing. I think that's fantastic. But obviously, if it's a detriment, if it means that there's no one watching us, there's no one kind of feeding back going, okay, yeah, these guys are really in my DMs today, or really in my mentions today about this specific topic, can we talk about it? If we've lost that, then that is a serious problem for us. So
yeah,
it's both sad and potentially good news. It just depends on what angle you're looking at. But either way, I really wish him all the best.
I mean, seeing how his job was actually combat and not actually PvP, but yeah, I think the biggest loss there is that we're going to lose that direct communication, or the feeling as close as we could to direct communication, where there's almost like a feeling that if you tagged Holinka in something PvP related and it was serious enough, you'd see changes. Like that, he acted on that stuff. You maybe didn't hear about it. He didn't like Roger back and be like, "Yeah, we were on it." But typically, you'd see stuff come back around where there'd be a change that happened, and the community, it was something the community was bringing up and raised to his attention, and I think that's the piece that we're obviously we have at Warcraft Devs. We still have a watcher, Ian Hazakostas, and his Twitter. I don't think anybody. I think I started seeing people started to tag Ian now on Twitter, but I think that's the one piece that we're missing, is that it still feels like anytime you put something up on in the community, the closed community there on the forums, where Helinka was responding to things, putting them up on the forums, where it feels like you're just talking to a wall. It doesn't go anywhere. On Twitter, if you just at devs, you're not necessarily going to get a response or feel like you're being acknowledged. So I think that's the one piece that we're missing, is that the feeling of acknowledgement is lost. So and yeah, he did actually respond sometimes when people put stuff up. It'd be like, oh yeah, that's a good point, or oh yeah, that's not actually supposed to work that way. Hotfix. So as far as like game dev time in that, he did say that the PvP team does have stuff in the works, and he's pretty excited for PvP. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to hear about that. See what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't, I think we should take him up on the fact that we should interview him just to kind of talk to him. I would love to do that, just to talk to him about his experiences and just about his future endeavors. That would be really cool. We should try and do that.
We should. He did say he didn't want to talk about WoW, only because he feels bad for the people still working on the game to then hear about a former dev talking about what they're working on. Okay,
well, we don't have to talk about WoW particularly, but I think we could just find out, okay, like, can we talk about past WoW, like in terms of like, previous systems, and
maybe
talk about future. I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, if you want to hear us talk to Darlinga about his future endeavors, let us know. I think it'd be awesome to chat to him and just see what he has prepped for the future.
Indeed. Just here's a question though. If we're gonna now have to tweet to at Warcraft Devs, can we just tweet about things strictly as PvP, or do we have to start hiding them in the dungeon known as Arathi Basin? I started noticing that warlocks are really overpowered.
Yeah, they are raid bosses.
Yeah, they are. Okay, into hotfixes. So there was just a tuning pass that happened. A number of hotfixes before that were mostly about the raid and PvE, but I'm sure a lot of people know about these. If not, quick rundown. There was some nerfs to boomkins. Well, that was for the astral power, but still that'll probably affect their damage a little bit. Enhancement shaman, their little one-shot trick that they were seeing a lot of. Warlocks. Specifically around Amplify Curse, it went from a 30-second to a 60-second cooldown. 45 seconds, I think, with a talent choice. And Discipline Priests and Mistweavers, their throughput was and their mana regeneration was nerfed a little bit. And Marksman Hunters were buffed.
Yeah, this is I will never understand this. I'm genuinely certain that most of the PvP devs for WoW, if there is even any, they play Hunter. Yeah, because this class gets buffed all the time. I remember it so clearly in Shadowlands when they buffed it so hard, and it was just like it was like unkiteable damage, just constantly on top of you, and you were just dying the whole time. There's a clip, in fact, on my Twitch, which is literally like, I'm killing this hunter. This hunter's about to die. I'm about to press Earthshock to kill him, and in this kind of 2 seconds of my or 1 second of my global, he literally globals me. Like genuinely globals me at like 10% HP. I'm literally about to kill him, and he just globals me.
Wow!
And that came from that huge MM buff that they gave him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why have they done this? Why do they do it? Hunters are already doing shed loads of damage. Why do they need this buff? They just didn't need it. So
yeah. I guess I should also point out, I think Warlocks got a buff as well on PvE. Or was it somebody else who got a buff? Oh, sorry. Blood DK's got a buff. There's some tier set bonuses. What was the other one? There's something else. Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't Warlock then. Oh, it was Arms Warrior. You got a 4% increase, all damage, plus damage on a bunch of abilities like Deep Wounds, Rend.
Hate it. They definitely didn't need that. They were already doing really well.
Nope.
I'm glad it wasn't Fury. I will say that. I'm glad it wasn't Fury because Fury is a bit more oppressive than Arms was. But they just didn't need it. They were doing very well enough as it is. I know it's obviously a PvE one, but they just didn't need it. Like no one needed that. They're now going to be really, really strong. And although admittedly, something I will say, big hats off to Blizzard for doing these nerfs at about sort of 5%, 5 to 8%, 5 to 4%. I think that's a really good way of doing it. Just really don't blast the damage up. But obviously I'm not talking about tanks who have got like 8 and 10%. That's a different thing. But I think really adjusting a lot of the DPS spec by between 3 to 5% is a really good way of basically kind of going, okay, we buff you a little bit here, see how you do, and go from there. Is a really great way of finding a balance.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Although 5% of 140k really isn't much when you're talking about like some of the big one-shot stuff.
No,
so
it's not.
We'll see.
It's not a huge amount, but but that's what I'm saying. Like it's sort of if the reason why all those one-shot stuff do that is because they've buffed them massively. They just need to keep bringing it down until it kind of like does what it's supposed to do. Yeah, okay, secret technique shouldn't be hitting you for 140k 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
but
no, it shouldn't.
If it hits you for 80k 3 times in a row, you actually have a possibility of, okay, can you outplay this at this point? Okay, I pre-walled this go. That's now going to do 60k for 3 times in a row, and I actually live that one. For example, just an example, like I think that's the difference.
I like it. Yeah. Either way, I'm just happy that we saw some hot fixes. There were definitely some outliers at the beginning of the season. There's a little bit of like a lull. I was wondering if they're waiting to see what tier sets were going to look like, and I think that's what it was because we saw some changes to some tier sets as well. But I feel like we might see another tweak before or by next reset. If not, I'm not sure if we'll see one during AWC or not. It's I
hope we don't. I'd be kind of poo if they did that during the AWC.
I don't know. Like I get it, but at the same time, those are professional players. I think, especially these small tweaks, I don't think it's game changing for AWC, but it'll definitely be quality of life changing for the latter. Rather than like having everybody just stall out for a month and then do some big massive change after AWC, I think I'd rather them just tweak it a little bit and keep doing the nerfs or buffs, but what they're doing.
That's right.
We talked about Swap C already. The last one, there's a bit of a conversation. I know we're having out there, but we made a tweet looking for PvP communities. So if you want, find the Twitter. The tweet is going to be in the show notes. But we're looking for PvP communities. We're trying to see and to get out there the different communities out there, because all too often I see other people looking for PvP guilds, which don't really exist anymore. And I feel like there's a whole bunch of like little micro communities, both BNet or in Discord, where there's a bunch of people getting together to play PvP together and find playmates or teammates. And I think we should raise awareness to this and try to help people find other communities. So if you're looking for a community, go ahead. There's a couple already there. If you have one or know of one, drop it. Let people know. Help people find each other. So that's my little spiel. Shout outs. I'm going to go to you there, Jake. Do you have any shout outs this week?
I'm going to shout out. I will shout out my mother, just because she's going through a lot of treatment at the minute. and we had went up with her today. So big shout out to her for letting me shout about WoW at 1 a.m. in the morning. So and not waking up. So big shout out to her. I think that's a well-deserved one for me today.
Indeed. All right, thank you, Mom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother.
Yeah.
Repeat after me, Gareth. So I'd just say, thank you, Mother.
Thank you, Mother.
No, it sounds like you're about to say a rude word just then. So
I don't know what you're saying. I'm going to give a quick shout out to all the members on the Discord. Yeah, the little channel there in the Bonus World Discord. The conversations we have about PvP are always engaging, and they're thoughtful. Like it's a considerative. It's a conversation with consideration of each other's thoughts, and not what I see in some other communities where people just try to argue a point for the sake of winning the argument. I find our Discord has some pretty good conversations. I don't know. Call me biased though. But a quick shout out to everybody on the Discord who interacts and makes those conversations happen. That's about it for us. I think, Jake, it's time for us to list off where everybody can find us.
Yeah, sure. You can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord. And obviously, on top of that, you can visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so head on over and tell everyone what you think about your favorite shows, including our own.
Indeed. And as always, links for everything we talked about are going to be in the show notes. I want to thank everyone for listening, and you all have a good one. Good night, everybody.
Good night.